The page.
It's live.
Hi, isn't it Romantic Book Club? Abbie's Dangerously Dark Darlings, Jennie's Page Turners, and Michelle Major Books, and Team Source Books. We're so delighted to be with you here tonight to discuss Michelle Major's The Last Carolina Sister. I am Diana Muñoz Stewart, and I write romantic suspense for The Strong of Heart. My Black Ops Confidential series is out in full. This is the last book, The Cost of Honor. My next series, the Bad Legacy series, is coming out. Sorry, guys. Give me a second because I want to show you this cover. It's coming out July 8th. And can we see this? Yeah.
I'll move it over a little bit.
There we go.
I love it.
It's coming out July 8th, and I'm so excited to finally be releasing this book. I know you guys have been waiting for a long time, and there's going to be a special promo the first week, so stay tuned for that July 9th. And now Jennie.
Hi, everybody. So Jennie Marts here. I write cozy mystery, Western romance, small town stories with humor and heart. Love, laughter, always a happily ever after. I write a lot of good-looking, hot, hockey-playing cowboys, wherever these guys are. Look at all those fellas. And my latest series is a horse rescue series. And my newest book is When a Cowboy Loves a Woman.
That's
I love the cover.
Came out. We read it last week, and excited to be here to host our special guest tonight. She's a good friend of mine, and I'm excited that you guys all get to meet her and we get to have a great time with her.
And I'm Sharon Wray. I also write romantic suspense with Diana. I write the Deadly Force series. The most current book is In Search of Truth. Think like Dan Brown type mysteries with really sexy heroes and lots of interesting adult situations. Anyway, the current book, Love's Last Kiss, is coming out this fall.
Oh, I love it.
It was a novella. It is now a single title because of things and COVID and such, but that's okay. Anyway, I'm really looking forward to it coming out. So tonight, though, I'm very excited because we have Michelle Major. Michelle is a Publishers Weekly best-selling Rita Award-winning author of over 30 sexy and sweet contemporary romances. She loves second chance love stories, smart heroines, and strong heroes. She's a Midwesterner at heart, and she's made the Rocky Mountains her home for nearly half of her life. She's thrilled to share her books with readers, and you can connect to her at www.michellemajor.com. And I just want to make one quick comment. So, guys, if you're not logged into StreamYard, we can't always see your name. So I apologize if it just says Facebook user. We don't say your name out loud because sometimes, and we also are using our phones at the same time because we have so many pages going on. So if we're looking down or looking away, we're usually trying to figure out who's commenting where. So just so you know.
So hello, Michelle.
Oh, Michelle,
sorry, I catched you just a second too soon. I didn't realize that Sharon had something else to say.
Sorry, I forgot.
No.
That's how we roll around here.
Oh, and we're doing a gift card for one lucky commenter.
Right.
Yeah. So we really want to encourage everybody to ask Michelle questions, to make comments, to share about the book, to ask her. You can ask her about the book. You can ask her about her writing process.
Ask me anything.
Yeah.
We're all friends here. So
yeah.
Ask me anything.
And
one as personal as possible. Let's
We're
exactly
writers. We don't embarrass easy. So
Exactly.
Well, we loved your book, Michelle.
I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah. I love that Meredith is kind of a redeemed bad girl.
Thank you. Yeah, she was really, so this is The Last Carolina Sister is book 3 in the Magnolia Sisters series. And so she was the third sister. And I always think I kind of hit my stride on book 3 of a series as a writer because I've spent some time with the characters and I know them pretty well. And they've had, all the great one-liners as secondary characters. And yeah, she was kind of sassy from the start. So it was fun to get to know her better.
And usually it's the guy, it's the hero that's the reformed, bad boy and, trying to prove himself. And it was the woman. And I thought that was so great. So did you purposely turn that on its head, or did it just naturally happen?
I knew from her, because this book, I mean, it is a romance at heart, but this series really focuses on these sisters that find each other and their relationships. So where she fit into that group was as kind of the reformed bad girl. And although I love a bad boy hero, I kind of wanted the juxtaposition of giving her somebody with a more straight-laced kind of conservative background to sort of challenge him a little bit.
It worked. It worked totally. I thought they were fantastic together.
Good.
I loved how we really, you do such a good job of bringing the entire small town to life.
Mm-hmm.
We know the mayor, the people that run the little stores. I just love that. I mean, there was one tiny line where the one gal was dancing with the guy that ran the hardware store or something. And I thought that was just such a cute, it was one line, but it just gave us such a little insight into that town and a little extra fun, quirky thing about that town. So is your town based on a real town that you have been to, or tell us about your town?
So the town of Magnolia, North Carolina, it came to be, it's not based on a real town, although there is a real town of Magnolia, North Carolina in the world. However, it's not on the coast of North Carolina. It's in a different place. But I am from Ohio originally, and I spent a lot of summers, we vacationed down along the coast of both Carolinas and the Outer Banks. And when I came up with this series, I was coming off a series of, I think, my Crimson Colorado series, which Jennie and I both live in Colorado, and that was 11 books. And I loved that town, but I really wanted something different. I think mountain towns have a very distinct sort of personality. And so I wanted to go someplace different. And so I kind of based it on, some towns we had visited and then research I did. And it was fun. It was, especially the book before this one was set at Christmas, and it was really interesting to me setting a Christmas book in a town that's warm, because I'm so used to, Christmas in Colorado. But yeah, I love Magnolia, and I love sort of the old Southern style, the houses, the architecture, just the history of that area. So I'm glad it worked for you, because I really did want to capture what I remember as a girl loving about that area.
Well, I loved about the book was the family dynamics were so complex. And, there's half sisters and adopted, adopted father, the father adopted daughter. And so do you do complex character studies, or are these, something that just comes out naturally?
I did the impetus for this book was actually my mom's best friend, who I had grown up with, did one of those, 23andMe or some sort of DNA test, and found out that she, the man she thought was her biological father wasn't. And both her parents had passed away at the time. And so she went looking for, talking to her aunt, and she found this whole other life her mom had. And I feel like you see those stories,
you hear about it all the time now.
You hear about it all the time, but for somebody who was so personal to me and to our family, it just really it sparked so much. And so then, and it was actually right about the time that there was some big article about Thomas Kincaid, the painter of light. And again, I was just fascinated sort of by this artist who was so successful, but not really critically successful. So there was just a lot, that kind of came into my brain at that time. And these three sisters came out of that. So.
And the father, the successful artist father, was not a very nice person.
He was not a very nice person. No, he was not.
No. And I can also answer a little bit for what Michelle did not answer. She does very in-depth character.
I did.
Oh, okay.
All of my books start with characters, and from there, I develop I start with the character and like what their wound is, and that's the kind of stuff that like I geek out over. And then kind of from there, it's like, what situation am I going to put them in, to really
tweak that wound.
Yes, exactly.
It shows.
And you did that with Meredith, with not just the wound with her father, who, her father who raised her, who wasn't her biological father, but with the mother who disappeared. And what I liked about the book is that never really, she resolved it emotionally on her own, but that we still don't know what happened to the mother.
Right. And I thought about bringing the mom back in, but, because, I know where she is. It's like, as an author, a lot more than the reader sometimes sees. But ultimately, to me, for Meredith as a character, I felt that it was more important that she resolve it, in her own heart versus having to get that closure with her mom. Because I think that's something that a lot of people, you might have issues with somebody in your past, and, a lot of us have to grow and learn from situations that we can't end up confronting the person or having them apologize or whatever. So that was important to me.
No, I really liked that aspect of the book, that she had to come to that conclusion and grow.
Right. And when she hugged her adopted dad at the end.
Oh, I know.
That was so emotional.
It was wonderful. It was really wonderful.
Yeah, because you could see where he would be hurt. So it doesn't just gloss over, what this person who, has basically been her dad her entire life, what he's feeling, and I thought that was fantastic.
Well, and what I thought was really compelling, which you didn't say in so many words, but was just there, was that if this man was her father, her mother had been, and she was, how old was she when she walked home from the pool by herself? Like 8?
5 or 6.
So that affair had been going on for, I don't know if it was off and on, but it had been going on for a long time.
Right. Yeah, her mom was not a very nice person either.
Right.
Which again, then as a writer, I'm like, well, her mom doesn't really deserve to come back on the page and get some resolution.
She's on timeout.
Yeah. And I loved the relationship with the brothers. I loved the complexity of all the sibling relationships and how her house.
Me too.
Trying to get to know the brothers and
right. There's tension there, and
to make Meredith happy,
Right. And I will say, when I contracted this series with Harlequin, and it's kind of been a fun aspect of it, they wanted me to do like a little 10,000 word novella, companion novella with each book. And 10,000 words is a really short story, but I have found it so fun. It's like almost like a palate cleanser. And then, there are other characters in this town who really wouldn't get sort of a center stage role. And when you bring up her brother might be one of them coming up in a subsequent book. But, where it's like maybe there's not enough there for a full single title book, but it's been fun to explore them a little more in the shorter stories.
So right now there's 3 stories.
Yeah,
3 books, and are there also 3 novellas in the works?
There are 3 novellas with each of the books. So each of the book has a companion novella that in ebook you can buy it separately, or it's in the back of the print version. So
all right.
Yeah.
Oh, that is really a cool idea. Love it.
Great idea.
And so this is not the last book either.
No, so what we're doing is we are sort of, I was having a really good time in Magnolia, and it seemed like the readers were responding to the town. So although the sisters, their journeys are kind of wrapped up, we're spinning the series off into, it's called the Carolina Girls. So you're going to meet 3 more women in this town, and so it's the same sort of secondary cast of characters, and Meredith is going to be a part of it. So in fact, Ryan's sister is the heroine of the next book.
Oh, nice. Oh, I liked her.
I loved her. Yeah, Emma.
Yeah.
And so can you tell us, without giving too much away, how she ends up in Magnolia?
So she ends up there. I mean, she sort of comes to visit her brother, and she is the one who's running the family foundation that Meredith is, trying to get the grant from. And she actually has kind of develops a love affair with the late father's house.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
And so she...
Okay.
Yeah, so she ends up buying that house, and
Niall's house.
Yeah, so and develops it into something different.
That's a great idea.
Because again, to me, with this book with the sisters, that house really meant something different to each of them. And for Meredith, having watched Carrie, sort of be the golden child and grow up in this big house, like that house represented something, that she couldn't have and she didn't have. And so, but it's not the house's fault. So I'd like to give it a sort of a second chance too.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Michelle, this book is around a rescue, animal rescue. So we can't talk to you and not talk about your foster kittens.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about, not everyone maybe who doesn't follow Michelle, maybe doesn't know that she and her family foster kittens. So she almost always has kittens at her house.
Yes.
Like, how awesome would that be? So tell us a little bit about your love for rescued animals and kind of why you wanted to bring that in the story. And of course, tell us about the kittens.
I will say it is very awesome unless you have a problem cleaning up kitten accidents, and then it's not. Baby kittens don't actually come always potty trained. They're easier to potty train than dogs, but not always. So we do foster kittens, and I will say to your audience who is here, if if you don't follow me on social media or we're not friends, please look me up, because I do a lot of posting about the kittens, and it is a guaranteed smile because kittens are really, really cute no matter what. I think like a lot of people who are naturally introverted, I don't know if Diana and Sharon are. I know Jennie is not. Jennie and I are opposites in that way, but I've always just been really comfortable with animals my whole life. And I've volunteered. When I first moved to Colorado by myself, I volunteered at the Denver Dumb Friends League, and we volunteered at our local humane society down in Colorado Springs. And then a few years ago, my daughter had bunnies, and the bunnies passed away, and it was a really sad time in our house because we were always the house that just rescued. Somebody had a guinea pig they couldn't deal with. They called me, and we just always took on all of these animals.
Oh, wow.
But we were already volunteering for a cat rescue, and I thought I need to do something to make our house feel happy again. And kittens really do that. And it turns out my family, we kind of have an affinity for it because it is really rewarding for us, for me, to take these little animals who are often, not very well socialized. I mean, they're babies, they haven't been held, and to sort of turn them into animals that are going to make great pets for families. And that's part of the reason that rescues want foster families, because it socializes the babies so well. I don't have any at the moment because my son is about to graduate from high school next week, and I had so much going on that I was like, I need a little break. Plus, we do kind of take a break in between litters because it's really emotional when they leave. Which is a really long answer. And to put it back to the book and Meredith, you know, she was really tough and she had a really hard shell. And I felt like for her that these animals would be a really good way to kind of show her vulnerability and to explore that she couldn't do with people. Like she really didn't have it in her. So
and you felt like, you know, that person, like we all know that person who's just communicates better with animals and, you know, is great with animals, but for whatever reason might have difficulty communicating with people. So
right.
Yeah. And when Ryan, you know, when she met Ryan, like he certainly did not expect to get involved in the animal, you know, but it was kind of that gateway for them to of just, you know, a way for them to get to know each other on a different level. So
yeah, I think that worked great. So Facebook user has asked, first off, what's a foster fail? Because I think I'm misunderstanding the question.
I know the answer to this.
A foster fail is when you don't give up the animals that you're fostering.
Oh, okay.
Oh. I will say I haven't been a foster fail yet because we already have 3 adult cats, and our boy cat loves the kittens. Our 2 girls cannot stand them. So I want to continue doing it, and I think at some point my husband would cut me off if I kept the animals. But
I'm so glad you explained that. Maybe because I write suspense, my mind went into a totally different place.
Right. No, a foster fail is actually a really good thing because it just means you've fallen so in love with that animal that you can't give them up.
Okay. So this person says, how many times have you been a foster fail? My sister was 4 times.
Wow. I'm curious if their sister's still fosters because, I'm not sure I would.
It sounds like she's already got a full house. But Chelsea Walters said, you know, I failed at fostering once. So we have a couple.
So glad that's what that means, though, Michelle.
Right.
I'm very relieved.
And we've come close. I mean, and honestly, as much as my husband, you know, sort of is like, oh gosh, you're doing this again. He's the one that like, he'll have the kitten on his shoulder and be like, please keep me. And that's his kitten voice. So he's a big softie.
So how long do you keep the kittens typically?
You know, it just depends. It depends on their weight. They can't be fixed until they're 2 pounds. So it depends on how small they are. But it typically is anywhere between 3 and 6 weeks. I mean, if they're sick coming in, then we have them for longer. So, and I'm pretty proud of the fact that because I share so much on Facebook and on Instagram, I think I'm up to 18 kittens we've personally adopted to people we know or readers or other authors. So, I mean, it's a great, you know,
that's fantastic.
Community. Oh, yeah, that's great.
I love the fact that one of our favorite readers, one of Michelle and I's favorite readers, adopted all 3 of one time. She had 3 fosters and a reader.
And she's she's a big reviewer, not just for Jennie and me, but for a lot of authors. And so now those 3 cats sort of star in her most of her posts.
Oh,
so
that's great.
It's fun. I feel like I'm like the doting aunt of, you know, like getting to revisit my little babies. And I feel like Meredith feels the same way. I mean, she, from the start of this series, she, you know, has kind of pimped out animals to different people within the town of Magnolia. So she is definitely.
Yeah, she was looking to get rid of those goats. I can understand.
Yeah.
I love the goats. They were one of my favorite characters. I love the goats because I loved Ryan so much. I'm like, so it's got to be a good guy if the goats fell in love with the hero.
Exactly, right? I do think you can tell a lot by how an animal reacts to a guy. So that's like a benchmark for me.
Did you have to do a lot of research on rescues and how rescue farms work? Or
I did do a lot. I did, and not, I feel like I was familiar with animals and taking care of them, but yeah, I mean, we have enough animals that I have a pretty close relationship with our vet and with some other rescues. There's a really interesting woman. Is it Rocky Ridge Rescue? And she does, I think she's in Arkansas, some, really amazing things with rehabbing animals that, have had really tough lives. So,
well, one of the things I loved about the book was how completely different the sisters' jobs were. Like,
right.
you did a beautiful job. Just one was the
Oh,
artist,
yeah.
the businesswoman, and then Meredith was neither of those things, right? But it's just, I love the juxtaposition of the sisters and their work and what they chose to do with their lives.
Right. Well, thank you.
That was really,
And that they all got along, that although they haven't really known each other before. And I think that that's accurate, because I have some half sisters that I didn't grow up with. And, when we get together, it's just remarkable how much we have in common. So.
Right. It is. And for me, I was raised in Ohio. I knew I wanted to live near the mountains. So I drove out to Colorado after graduation from college, got a job on a dude ranch. And so I feel like a theme in a lot of my books is that idea of where you make your home and who you create as your family.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they, I think they all needed each other in ways they didn't understand at the beginning. But I feel like that's something I found in my life being a transplant. And there are a lot of transplants in Colorado, people who come here. And so you do sort of, create this community. And I think for Meredith, even if you're born someplace, even if you're a native, that doesn't necessarily mean you feel like you fit in. I think that's something a lot of people assume is that, well, just because, you grew up someplace and yeah, there's a comfort to it, but you still have to find your own place and your own way in the world. So
something I found really interesting about her character that I think you did a really good job at balancing this thing of having us really fall in love with Meredith, but yet she wasn't a very nice person. The fact that she was a bully, growing up, and that she was so mean to Carrie, and that she admitted that she was mean to her, and that she kind of went through this little kind of slutty phase. And, you did a really good job of kind of showing her wound and why she felt like that and why she acted like that. But you don't have a lot of heroines that, used to be a bully, and that we just love her so much and we just forgive all of that. So I really thank you, Diane, for agreeing with my.
No, I totally do agree with that.
Balancing that of still making us love her.
Well, it was empathy. We had so much empathy for her and so much sympathy. Because she was in so much pain.
She was in a lot of pain. And, to me, I would love to write romantic suspense. I feel like, it's a goal of mine. Actually, once at least one of my kids gets out of the house and maybe, is starting to get out of the house this year. It feels like he was in the house all the time, and I have some more brain power to think about that. But to me, one of the challenges with contemporary romance and straight contemporary romance is, you don't have the you don't have the you don't have the external plot things that are really moving it along. Or I really love reading historical romance. That's sort of my candy read. And, there are so many constraints in contemporary romance. I really want to dive into the emotional stuff with people who aren't perfect, because nobody is. And to me, that's where the meat of the stories comes. So I'm glad it worked. But yeah, she had a lot of growing to do. So
and I think that's the thing I love the most, because most of the times you get these characters that don't have that much nuance, that much pain. And I just felt that was realistic, I mean, who hasn't kind of been a jerk, who hasn't, done things that they regret, and the idea that, yeah, people are redeemable, people change, people learn, people grow, and not everybody is perfect.
Right. I think I was having that conversation with a friend of mine out here, a guy friend. We were talking about, one of the great things about Facebook is that you sort of rediscover some people you went to high school with who you weren't friends with. And you think, gosh, they are really cool people.
Mm-hmm.
Like you were so in your own lane or dealing
mm-hmm.
with your own things that, I feel like in some ways you get this do-over, because I think, gosh, I wish I would have, branched out a little more, or been kinder in some ways, or opened myself up to different experiences.
Oh, yeah. So is that your favorite? Is Facebook your favorite social media, or?
I think it's the one I really like scrolling through Instagram, because I love people's beautiful pictures, but I'm not great on my phone. So I like Facebook because of the computer thing. And, when you're writing and you come to a really hard place and you don't know what to say next, it's super easy to jump over to Facebook.
I know, that's the problem.
That's
the problem.
Michelle, what is your writing routine like? What's your writing day like?
So I can see Jennie laughing, because Jennie and I are like in a small writing group where we used to, pre-COVID, get together on a pretty regular basis and be able to do the coffee shop thing. And obviously that all changed in the past year. So then there was a small group of us that we started doing these sprints via text, because even though writing is so solitary, you have this community that you do it with. And that has been very helpful to me, having those ladies there to say, okay, who wants to go for 45 minutes and what can you get done? My writing routine, I am super goal oriented. I love lists. I love checking things off of lists. So I do a weekly word count goal that then I break down into chunks, because I started writing when my kids were babies. Mm-hmm. I got used to getting up early in the morning, and I still sort of do that. I have been on kind of a back-to-back deadline sort of jag for a little while now. So mm-hmm. with the last book, I hadn't done a lot with dictation, but my wrists, my carpal tunnel got so bad that I was really struggling on the keyboard. So I started doing a lot more dictation. But I typically do, around 10 and 15,000 words a week. And I definitely spit them out and then go back and edit from there. So.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Do you work for outlines, or do you more of a pantser?
I do both. So like I said, I do a big deep dive on the characters, and then so I feel like I know them really well. And then I kind of have an idea of where the story's going. I outline about 2 to 3 chapters at a time, because anything more than that feels constraining to me, because I think I was a pantser at heart, but with my production schedule and my deadlines, I do more outlining now, but it's little chunks.
Okay.
And Michelle is very dedicated. So lots of us have goals. I have a goal of writing 10 to 15,000 words a week, but she actually makes the goal every week. So she and I have been great friends for over a decade, and we live in the same town. And so we know a lot of each other's writing, and she is so much my accountability partner of, well, Jenny, I'm not going to listen to that excuse again.
So is it a friendly competition when you do 45-minute sprints? Do you all check back in with, I got this many words, I got this many words, or is it
I don't think it's so much of a competition as just an accountability thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
it's more like we're cheering each other on, you know, because depending on what you're working on, it could be 45 minutes where you get 300 or you get 1,000, or, you know, you're editing, but it's just sort of knowing, okay, there's somebody on the other side who I'm going to check back in with. But we all, you know, everyone in the group, you know, I think we all have sort of different goals that we're working on at the time. So I don't feel like it's competition, other than like if somebody no names mentions gets distracted for like 4 sprints in a row. I mean,
then they might get taken to task.
yeah.
So, but I think we also all recognize in each other, there's 4 of us, and we recognize in each other that we all kind of have a different process. Right. So Michelle and another one of our friends type like the flippin' wind, and we can get to the end of a 45-minute sprint and they can have 1,000 words or 1,100 words. And I tend to try to make it a little bit, I edit as I go. I really stop and like think through every single, like I try to make it a little bit more perfect as I go, because then at the end I spend less time editing at the end, where Michelle spends a little more time editing at the end and fixing all that stuff at the end, where I try to fix it as I'm going. So I think it's really complementary.
We each have a very individual process. And for me, I don't know why it is, but I typically about 2/3 to 3/4 into almost every book, I have some amazing realization of like why everything had happened, that then I don't know why I can't have it at the start, but then I have to go back and
I do the same thing. Yes. Just something falls into place and you're like, oh,
that's where I am. So yes, I need more time editing and, you know, a little time off from the story to process before I sort of make it, polish it up.
And does dictating it or does the talk to text help it? Is it quicker or?
You know, I don't know. I feel like it's about the same time, because then, you know, you have to go in and clean it up a little bit. So I do a combination where like I'll dictate for a certain amount of time, and then, you know, I go in and go, okay, just keep writing till you get to 1,000 words. But I definitely feel like it's helped my back. It's helped my wrists. So in that way,
right, because you don't have to be at your computer. I mean, you can walk around, I assume, and
walk around. You can fold laundry. You can be scooping dog poop in the backyard. I mean, there are a lot of things you can do while you're dictating.
Do you use a dictation software like Dragon?
No, I don't, because so I am a Mac girl. So, and I mean, I've taken some dictation classes, but I've heard that Dragon doesn't really play nicely with Mac. So I just use my phone and I dictate into Word, and then I email myself the document, and then I copy it into Scrivener, because Scrivener is how I write. So it's it is very low tech the way I do it. So
That's fantastic to know. Yeah.
And how long does it take you to write a book? How quickly can you write one of your books for Harlequin?
So I write both the single titles, the HQN, and then I write special edition, which are the shorter category books. So the special editions are like 60,000 words. The HQNs are like 80,000 words. I can get a rough draft done in about 6 weeks of one of the bigger books. And then typically I try to give myself enough time from the deadline to take another month to edit it. And when I'm doing that, I'm also writing the next one. So I have a lot of, I will call it envy for those writers who can sit down and bust out like 5,000 or 10,000 words, in a day or something. I'm not that person. So I need smaller chunks.
Right.
So do you know what you're writing for the
big?
What?
I said your chunks are still pretty dang big.
Well,
like 2,500 to 3,500 words a day is still a pretty dang good sized chunk.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So do you know what you're writing for the rest of the year? You have your work schedule already ahead of you, or?
I do through about October.
Okay.
And then it opens up a little bit. But I had a book due in May, I have a book due in July, and I have a book due in August. So
Wow.
I have like a 3-year calendar where I back out my time. It sounds like super not creative, that part of it, but to me, if I feel like I have that control over knowing that it's going to be okay, then it allows me to be more creative.
No, I totally can see that, especially when you have, a series books and there's so much to keep track of. If you are not, organized in that way, you're going to have to constantly be stopping and going back and saying, what was this or what was that? And that's when you aren't creative, you have to keep stopping.
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly how I feel.
So do you have, we talked about, finding a piece of information, everything makes sense. Do you have a scene that was like your favorite scene to write in the book, The Last Carolina Sister?
Which doesn't always happen. The scene that was probably came the easiest was the first one when she went knocking on his door in that rainstorm.
I love that scene.
Because I felt like it just, I was like, oh my gosh, I can show exactly who these two people are.
Yeah.
In that scene. Probably like tender-wise was when they were, at the wedding, was sort of that moment where I felt like they, it's like we know they're going to fall in love, but they don't know it for a chunk of the book. And I really do like when the characters kind of catch up to like, oh gosh, this is sort of happening.
And it hits them. Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty adorable. So out of the 3 that you've written so far, Avery, Carrie, or Meredith, which one was your favorite?
I think, I think Meredith, her book was the most exciting for me because when I did the proposal for my editor and I sent it to her and my agent read it, it was like we all knew it was something special. Like we all felt like this was really going to work. But secretly Meredith was kind of my favorite sister. Jenny will I don't really curse in my books, but I have a horrible potty mouth in real life. I'm pretty snarky. So I really related to Meredith a little bit. Although I wasn't a mean girl back in the day. I don't think I never bullied anybody, and I actually never really had a slutty phase either. So I'm kind of boring that way.
But I think she pulls off.
I kind of saw a little bit of you in Meredith too. And I could see you like decking somebody that like tried to make a pass at you in the way.
I've never been in a fight, but I'm afraid I wouldn't shy away from one. So
I still love that, like, she decked that guy, but then she went and got him help.
Right.
You know, and then he was like, well, now that I'm here, can I still see the kittens? And she's like, no, get out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's great about her. She speaks her mind.
Yeah.
So she might have one time been too abrasive, but she's learned to dial it back a little bit, but not so much that she's, shrinking from telling people what's on her mind and what she thinks. And I think that's great. And, I love that, the hero loves that about her.
Yeah.
And
then he gets frustrated. The hero got so frustrated when she wouldn't accept help. Like she wouldn't even, like she had the broken arm or the broken wrist and she still was going to climb the ladder and finish the roof.
For sure. And I mean, Jenny can tell you that is 100% me because I do not like to accept help. So
have you ever tried any home repairs like climbing on the roof? And
yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So my husband and I we're on our third house that we have renovated. I feel like I have a love-hate relationship with Chip and Joanna Gaines because
me too. Yes.
I was like, I can do it just like Fixer Upper, and I can do the whole thing for $25,000, and that was not how it worked. But yes, we've lived in it, so we've done a lot of renovating. And I mean, we have worked with contractors and stuff, but we typically, like, all the demo we do ourselves. And, we've had way more dates to Home Depot than.
So you say you've done 3 houses. So do you fix them up to sell them, or?
We have sold. I mean, the third one we're on, we'll stay here until my daughter graduates high school. I mean, no, we've fixed them up for ourselves, but we've also done it with the idea of adding value to the house. So,
all right. So I have to know, on a scale of 1 to 10, how handy are you?
My husband is
9. She's a 9.
Oh, really?
I don't know. My husband is like a 12 handy. He can do anything. I'm pretty good with I'm really good on demolition. I can knock down a wall.
I have like a little bobcat, and Michelle can get in there and like.
No way! Awesome.
That sounds like fun.
It is kind of fun. I mean, my kids don't think so. They're like, we will never have a fixer-upper. This is the dumbest thing ever. Why can't we live in a normal house?
They're learning skills. It's always about learning new skills.
Exactly.
So when are we going to get the Fixer-Upper series?
I know.
I don't know. I like you have so many episodes and then you can't. But no, that's not true. So Wildflower season, she renovates the inn, and Cam, the hero, how could I not remember that since it's coming out next week, is the contractor. So yes. So there you go.
So what book is this again? I'm sorry.
It's the Wildflower season. So it's the first in the Carolina Girls series, but it sort of is a bit of a continuation of Magnolia and Town. So
all right,
we put
just dropped in the chat.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, thank you for that link.
It's got the most adorable cover with the bicycle on it, and it's so cute.
The art department really knocked it out of the park on that one. So
well, all your covers for the Carolina Girls, they're all beautiful.
Thank you.
They really did a beautiful job.
Yeah, I can take absolutely no credit for that. So.
You don't have any input on the covers at all?
I do. I mean, they send them to me, but honestly, they've done such a great job that I haven't really, I mean, what you do in the initial stages is you kind of, give the feedback of the theme you're going for, colors you like, but they've really done so well from the start that it's been very easy. So
Okay.
And same with the titles. Did you pick the titles or did Harlequin pick them?
We so I think I suggested titles. It's collaborative there. So but the Wildflower Season, so there'll be 3 books in that series too. Wildflower Season, Mistletoe Season, and Wedding Season comes out in 2022. So.
Oh, very nice. I love those titles.
Thank you.
How many books have you written with Harlequin now, Michelle?
Like 45.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a good. So my first book with them came out in 2013. So
Wow.
That's incredible. I do a lot of Jenny and I do a lot of sprinting.
Very proud of you, my friend.
Do you prefer to write the special editions or the HQNs?
You know, I really like them both. I love with the HQNs getting to explore, you know, more of the town and the characters and just having those extra words. But then it's kind of fun the special editions are such a spotlight on the couple that it feels fun to go back and forth between them. So, and I feel like, you know, I started with special editions. So, I mean, I have such a devotion to those category readers who like took a chance on me and have stuck with me through all of this that, you know, I didn't read romance as a young girl, but I think that's such a fun thing about Harlequin is how many people came to that, like through the mail order books their grandmothers got. And it's just such a great history that I like to be a part of it. So.
Do they still do the mail order subscriptions?
They do.
Okay.
They do. So
wow. Do. So if you had to do a total different genre, something that you've not written before, what would you pick?
So I have an idea. This is so silly because I ended up, very long story, but I ended up on the board of my local HOA.
Everybody loves you, right?
Right. So I really, you know, and you just like get an behind the scenes understanding of the neighborhood shenanigans. So I really want to do sort of a Gone Girl type book about an HOA. So
oh my God, you should do it.
A thriller because there's a lot that happens. So
that's a great idea.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. Well, looking forward to reading that.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I love it.
Yeah, I will change the names of the people in my neighborhood. Hope so, but they may recognize themselves.
I don't have an HOA, but I would do it for my pool board.
Right? Yes. It's, it feels like the lower the stakes, the higher the emotion.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, I love that.
It's craziness.
You write that down. There's your tagline.
Right.
Low stakes, high drama. Yeah,
right. That is
my high concept pitch.
Well, I pitched the idea for a pool board for term limits. I think we need some term limits on the pool board.
Exactly. Oh, so besides Wildflowers, what else is coming up this year? What else can readers expect from you?
So Wildflower Season next week, which is exciting. And then in October, Mistletoe Season, the next HQN. And then 2022, sort of January, I have a special edition of Fortunes of Texas book. And then February is my Welcome to Starlight series. And then March is Wedding Season. So
wow.
I hope readers stick with me for them. So
I have no doubt, Michelle.
Well, come back and pop in the group and let us know what's going on. Give us a heads up so we can all keep reading because I love the book.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm all in.
Good luck next week.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you so much for having me. You guys have such a fun group. I really appreciate being here.
Yeah, we're very lucky. We have such wonderful readers. So
Yeah, it was great having you here. And so, good luck, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you so very, very much for being here with us. Appreciate it. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, so now we are going to, the questions.
Oh,
yeah, we're going to talk about, we're going to introduce our next book. We're really excited about our next book. We're kind of doing a little, there's a lot going on in June. So this book, you're going to have all of June and the first week of July to read it. And we have some questions that might have a little something to do with that. I can't remember. Do we don our attire for the question?
I think we've done
questions first. Okay, let's do the questions first. Then we'll don our.
Okay. So these are questions, and I'm going to put the poll up tomorrow in the Facebook page, and you have to match up the favorite love song to one of the 4 authors in the Isn't It Romantic book club. So which one of these loves these songs? So which one of us loves these songs? So either Sharon, Abbie, Jennie, or Diana love Heavenly Day by Patty Griffin, Elvis's Love Me Tender, I Don't Want to Miss a Thing by Aerosmith, and Make You Feel My Love by Garth Brooks. So I'll put the 4 polls up, and you can guess and see which one of us loves which one of those songs.
Okay. So, and here we go. Announcing our next book is The Girl with Stars in Her Eyes by Zio Axelrod. And I am so friggin' excited for this book.
I cannot wait to read this book.
You all get this book. We're going to have so much fun with it. I can't wait to talk to her.
Oh, it's going to be great.
So we will see you all back here in July.
And what was the date, Diana, on that?
July 8th.
Okay,
July 8th.
cool. That's wonderful.
July 8th. All right.
Cool.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for stopping by.